Shabbat Shalom. So this Shabbat, couple of interesting things taking place here. Number one, this Shabbat is the 15th day of Av, which is a holiday, such a great holiday that our sages say that it is comparable to the holiness and festivity of Yom Kippur, the holiest day of our year. It is known as Yom Ahava, the day of love, because of what took place back in the times of King Solomon when he introduced this day as a day of equality amongst all women, to be able to be seen for who they are and not for any other reasons. Today is also Shabbat Nachamu. Nachamu, Nachamu Ami. God says to the prophet, go comfort my people. They've just suffered a horrific retribution. Comfort them, empower them. And this week is the Torah portion, Ve'et Chanan, and Moses entreated of God. We have love, we have comfort, and we have entreatment, prayer. So I reflect upon a teaching of the Rebbe to help make this practical, palatable, tangible, and modern. So to understand this love, comfort, and prayer, entreatment, I want to share with you, the Rebbe has great insight into the differences of two different ancient teachings upon the word Ve'et Chanan. There is the Sifri and there is the Medrash Rabbah. Now, one says as follows: Ve'et Chanan, he gives two different interpretations. One, he says Ve'et Chanan, the word Chanun means when we deal with a matnat chinam, we're asking for grace, unearned, free gift from God. We're asking God to give not because of who we are, but we're asking God to give because of who He is. Unconditional love. Then he says a second interpretation, that the word Ve'et Chanan, Chanun, is one of the 10 different terminologies used in the Talmud when we talk about prayer. And he has them as two different interpretations. He says the first explanation, and then he says Davar Acher, another interpretation, meaning that they're not one and the same. While the Medrash Rabbah, he puts these two interpretations as one and the same. That this prayer is unique in the fact that it is a prayer asking for God's grace undeserved. And the Rebbe explains that the difference between the Sifri and the Medrash Rabbah is that the Sifri sees that there's a prerequisite to prayer. When I pray to God, it needs to have the prerequisite that A, I have a relationship with God, and B, I have a leg to stand on, some form of merit, which I'm asking God, and nevertheless I ask God to give it with grace. However, the Bamidbar Rabbah, his approach is that no, we're talking about the prayer upon which you need no leg to stand on. It's simply asking God, you unconditionally love me, and hence I'm asking not for anything I earn, but for your grace. And that is two different approaches to this form of prayer. That is what the Rebbe explains in great depth and great detail. I'm just taking this one point because I want to share with you what I'm experiencing in the moment when I think of the Shabbat being the day of love. I think about it being the day of comfort, and I think about it being the day of Ve'et Chanan, prayer for earned and prayer for matnat chinam, grace undeserved. And what I'm sensing here is, let's put it all together. I think of in a relationship, what is it that each spouse yearns for most in their relationship? And here we find an interesting dichotomy which fits in directly with the two approaches to prayer. On one hand, I can speak for myself and my experience with others. I can say that what I want in a relationship is two fundamental things which seems to be a juxtaposition one to another, a dichotomy. On one hand, I want to be acknowledged and appreciated for what I do for you in our relationship. But yet on the other hand, I want to know that there's also unconditional love and that I don't have to earn every detail of our relationship. I want to know that in a relationship, the other can give me unconditionally, even if I don't deserve it in the moment. Now, what an interesting concept, because being who I am, I also play it in reverse. I know that the spouse wants from me to be appreciated and at the same time wants to know that they don't have to earn everything they ask me for, because our relationship is deeper than that. That is the day of love. That is the ultimate comfort for which we look for in our one and only relationship, which is not a business relationship. It's a love relationship. And that is Ve'et Chanan. So let us learn to give what we seek to receive, to understand before searching to be understood. Let us let the other person in our lives know we acknowledge and appreciate everything you do for me, and with it, I yearn to reciprocate. And on top of that, ultimately, you don't need to earn what you want from me. That's not what this relationship is built upon. The day of love, the day of comfort, the day of Ve'et Chanan, a prayer of free grace. Shabbat Shalom.